what are some things that are occupying unnecessary space in your mind right now and that you need to let go of, right? Maybe someone said something and you're holding on to that. That is also causing you stress. Why do we buy more than we need? What do you think is the cause for that? Okay, instant gratification, dopamine hits that comes from novelty, to feel secure, to feel emotionally strong. At times it is greeds. Retail therapy. Think we buy things, they complete us, they make us feel better. But how long does that feeling really last, right? Maybe for a few hours after you bought something, but it's going to end up being clutter later for you. And it's not really going to add much value except for that few minutes or maybe few hours. FOMO, like someone said, right? My friend has it. I see social media influencers sharing it. There's a social comparison. X person has this. Why do I not have this? Buying more is going to make me feel better. That's not going to happen. Buying less will definitely save you space and save you money. And that's what minimalism teaches, right? What are needs, wants, and waste? Your need is chai, and we understand that. Your want is really good chai, maybe from a cafe, right? That's also understandable. But does that have to create waste? That's not necessary. Okay, so now that we know minimalism is beyond stuff, it's just not about possessions, and we know that letting things go is really important for us. Here are some things that you can do, right? And you all have already mentioned that I want less of commitments, more of time. How do you have more of time? Very simple, have fewer unnecessary meetings. How many of you have heard this quote? I'm sure many people would have heard that this meeting could have been an email. Why did you call all of us and have this discussion? You could have just sent an email. We could have read it in a minute and sent our response, right? So saying no to unnecessary meetings, saying no to things that are not adding value to your life is something that we need to start doing. And someone has mentioned stop getting addicted and save time, right? All those games that you have, all those unnecessary WhatsApp groups you're part of, those unnecessary apps that you're using currently, or social media addiction is actually taking your time away. Very surprisingly, I read an article which says the biggest competitor for an online platform like Netflix is actually sleep. Netflix is not competing with Amazon Prime and the others, it's actually competing with your sleep. So if you need more time and you need restful sleep, then you know what you need to let go of. The second one is digital, right? So you have so many notifications on. The one simple hack of making sure that you're more focused on your work is please switch off all notifications. It's very simple. If something is important, you will go find it and take care of it. All these unnecessary notifications from various apps just constantly popping up are actually taking away from your focused work, and putting them off is important. How many of you have a lot of tabs open on your laptop? Articles that someone sent you or bookmarks that you did, thinking, oh, again, I'm going to watch it in future. I'm going to read this in future, but are not doing it and not finding time to do it, right? So how many of you have multiple tabs open on your laptops or on your phones all the time? Yeah, someone has said 100 plus bookmarks. Someone is saying regularly shutting them. Yes, me. Yeah, we all have that, right? Please make sure you don't have so many tabs open, because that means you're keeping your mental tabs open for those many things and you're trying to jump from one thing to another, not focusing on one. I'm also glad to see that someone has mentioned no tabs at all, right? Which is great. So that means you're very focused that I am doing this one thing right now. Everything else, I'm not going to be looking at. And that is what takes off the digital clutter. Finance, needs versus wants, we'll discuss that in a minute. And mental things, right? So what are some things that are occupying unnecessary space in your mind right now and that you need to let go of, right? Maybe someone said something and you're holding on to that. That is also causing you stress. Maybe that conversation with a friend or a family member that you're holding off, that is also causing you stress and is adding to possessions, but mental possessions. So you need to let that go as well. All of this, while we connect with emotionally, let's look at things, when it comes to physical stuff or possessions. Why do we buy more than we need? What do you think is the cause for that? And I'll share the answer in a minute, but I would love to hear from people. Why do you think we end up buying more than we require? I require one pair of shoes, maybe sport shoes to walk around, to go and play, but I have three pairs of shoes. Why? Okay, instant gratification, dopamine hits that comes from novelty, to feel secure, to feel emotionally strong. At times it is greeds. Someone has said, say sale. Yes. People who don't create their life, yeah, may not get the same later, or today there is an offer going on, a deal going on, thinking it might be useful in future, validation from others, you follow trends, peer pressure, affordability. There was a time when I was a student, I couldn't afford it. Today I can, so let me make sure I buy it. To fulfill something that's lacking within, right? We all have a void that we feel we can fill up by buying more things. Impulsive buying, FOMO, absolutely. You all have answered the same things, right, that I had put down. Very simply, sale, deals, 50% off. The minute you see something is for 499 and not 500, there is an attraction to buy that thing, right? Convenience. I have access to an app. I can quickly order it. Let me not go to the store nearby, really choose what is of good quality. I'm getting something really cheap on an app. Let me buy it, let it come home in my own convenience and time. And that's why I end up buying more than I require, right? Because there's a deal that popped up that said if you buy X and you buy Y with it, there'll be like a 100 rupee discount. Yeah. Retail therapy. A lot of us, like someone said, want that gratification, have this boy. When we think we buy things, they complete us, they make us feel better. But how long does that feeling really last, right? Maybe for a few hours after you've bought something, but it's going to end up being clutter later for you. And it's not really going to add much value, except for that few minutes or maybe few hours for you. FOMO, like someone said, right? My friend has it. I see social media influencers sharing it. There's a social comparison. X person has this. Why do I not have this? Right? I remember this one very recent trend that picked up. There was a Labubu doll that was not even manufactured in India, and everybody went crazy buying those. It served no purpose at all, but it was a social media range, and everybody just went buying that and putting up images and insta stories about it, that I have a Labubu doll. And where are those Labubu dolls today, right? They're all probably lying in someone's cupboard somewhere, not holding any value, right? An absolute utter waste, like someone shared. That's what it was. But we got in, with the social media trend and thought, oh, this is interesting, this looks fun, let me buy it, let me put an insta post because my friends are doing it, social media influencers are doing it, right? And what does that really lead to? If you have money, you buy more, which means you have less space, right? Because you're hoarding and storing and more and more. If you were to change this and buy less, right, we would have more space and we would automatically have more money. So just thinking that, buying more is going to make me feel better, that's not going to happen. Buying less will definitely save you space and save you money. And that's what minimalism teaches, right? That if you can, instead of thinking I'm going to make more money to buy more and get more space to store those things, why not buy less, save that money and save that space automatically, right? And that's the idea behind it. We were talking about finances, and on just that note, right, what are needs, wants, and waste? So instead of getting into waste first, let's just understand from each other, what is the difference between needs and wants? What is your understanding of this difference between needs and wants? I've shown an example on the screen as well. Need is food and water, but requirement is jet and mansion. Okay. Need is minimum that I require, but that's luxury. Need is necessary, want is luxury. Need is compulsory, want is optional. Wants is luxury. Need is having clothes, wants is having branded clothes, definitely, or designer clothes. Want is something which is not necessary. Want is desire. Need is necessity without which we cannot live, but want is luxury. Needs are essential. Wants are our personal ambitions. Need is food. Want is not food, but junk. Needs are must, right? So we all understand this concept very well. My need is food. I can get, I need food for energy. I need food to survive. I can get that at home as well. And I'm not saying that it has to be tasteless and badly made food. It can be great food made at home with a lot of love by my own mother, versus I want is eating probably a McDonald's burger, right? Which is at some level fake food and not really great, both for my nutritional requirements as well as for the planet. I can tell you this because very simply, there is a study that says things like the packaging that, for example, McDonald's uses dies out in 8 minutes. So, for something that took probably months to manufacture and reach you, its purpose and use just gets done in 8 minutes. Versus if I were to eat at home, I wouldn't even create that waste and my need for food will get fulfilled, right? So that's the difference between need, want, and waste. What I would love for you to do now is Tell me, and this could be different again for different people, which one of these is a need, which one is a want, and which one do you think is actually waste, right? So, coffee machine, is it a need, want, or waste? Okay, some people, one person says need, one person says want, and many people have said waste, right? So again, varying perspectives comes from where you are in life, what do you need? It could be a need for someone who is an absolute coffee lover. Instead of going out and buying coffee every single day from cafe, they prefer that their coffee is made at home in that machine because they like the taste of it. Versus someone thinks it's a want, why can I not make coffee on the gas stove and save that? And for many of you, it's waste, maybe because you don't really need coffee coming from a coffee machine, right? So, absolutely right. Mitra Devi says that it depends. So, it is contextual. And that's why we need to decide what is a need for us, what is a want for us, and what will lead to waste. The next one, streaming subscriptions. Netflix, Amazon, Z5, Geo Hotstar, all these streaming subscriptions, are they a need, are they a want, or are they a waste? Yeah, most people have said not necessary, it's a want, or it's a waste, right? When we are aware of this, why do we still have 10 of these subscriptions on our TVs every day? Why are we still binge watching instead of spending time probably with our family or out in nature? Once in a while for relaxation, yes. But yeah, multiple subscriptions, as someone has shared, are a waste, right? So pick and choose. If you really think this is a want, I do need that entertainment and I'm not going to get this from somewhere else, then fine, maybe it's a need for you. I'm not denying that. But you have to be very mindful of how much of it is needed, right? Is this going to take away your time from other things that are important in your life? Then, of course, it's causing waste in your life as well. Okay, new phone every year. Need, want, or waste? Someone has said absolute waste, right? Yeah, our phones have unfortunately built in obsolescence. They will die after a point, but you can always get them repaired. You can buy a refurbished phone. The purpose of a phone is to talk and message and stay connected with people. Why does it need like a 20 megapixel camera? Why does it need just so many apps, right? And buying that every single year is a waste. It might be a need to stay connected with people. Having a really nice smartphone might be a want, and which is all right. But if you're doing this year on year, then you're definitely creating maximum amount of waste possible. Yeah. Cloth shopping bag. Need, want, or waste? I really want to know this one because it's tricky. Okay, a lot of people have said need. A couple of people have said waste. Again, somebody has said depends. Yeah. Having a cloth bag is also a need because that reduces your requirement for, say, taking plastic bags or multiple other paper bags, right? So it is a need. But if you're going to have 50 of those, then it's becoming a want, which is then leading to a waste, right? So having a few that will actually help you with ensuring that you're not using plastic bags or paper bags is great because it helps with fulfilling that need, that requirement. But too many, not so great, right? Okay, air fryer. Someone has already said it's a want. Okay, I see a bunch of people have said waste or a want, right? I mean, I'm sure you were living very happily without air fryers as well. And we can cook healthy without air fryers as well. So it's not necessary in our lives, definitely not a need. Can be a want, but of course, could lead to waste eventually if you're not, again, one of those things that you're buying and keeping in your kitchen but not using them because you got influenced by somebody who said you want to eat fit and healthy food with less oil, buy an air fryer, right? And advertisements are great at doing that with us. A third pair of sunglasses. Okay, it's either waste or a want. I already have two. Why do I need a third one is the question. Do I not have enough already? Right, and that's when clutter starts getting created in our home. So definitely waste. Fast fashion top, things made of polyester, nylon, are these need, want, or waste? Okay, someone has said prefer cotton. Yes. Yeah. This is where I wanted to bring up the idea of buying things of better quality. I'm not saying don't buy clothes, but buy what you really need and buy of better quality versus thinking, oh, I'm going to buy five tops for 500 rupees because they're made up of polyester. While it's bad for the environment, it's actually bad for your own skin as well, right? It's a form of plastic that you're wearing and it's not great for your own body. And that's why it causes waste both for yourself and for the environment. So definitely waste. Refillable bottle. Is it a need, want, or waste? Need. Absolutely, right? We all should have our own water bottles to drink water out of instead of consuming the plastic water bottles that we're constantly buying and then dumping. So, definitely a need. Maybe a bamboo one or a really smart one, or one of those cups that became very popular a few months back, or all of that is a want, while a bottle in itself is a need. And when you buy too many of those, then we know it causes waste. Disposable cutlery. This, I'm sure, is going to be a common answer for everyone. Is it a need, want, or waste? Yeah, absolutely waste. You always have better options. If you're doing an event, reach out to a Bartan bank. They will give you reusable materials to use. You can go to a tent house, an event manager. They will help you out with getting reusable cutlery. So this is clearly waste. And for those of you who don't know this, it's all the plastic waste that we create continues to lie around for decades and decades. And we'll explore this concept as well in a minute. Okay, gift wrapping paper, need, want, or waste. When I did this with a few children, there was a massive debate amongst them whether this is a need or want or waste. And they said, ma'am, if I have to give something, it has to look pretty and beautiful and everything else, right? So, not necessary. There are ways of doing the same thing, but in a better way. A lot of people have written waste. Someone has suggested using material that decomposes. Yeah. So, but it depends. Yeah. If you're using a newspaper and you can do that to wrap up something, or a nice cloth that they can use for other things, then of course, that you're doing the right thing by the planet. But if it's that shiny, shimmery paper that is going to get used and get dumped, of course, it's waste. Decorative cushions. Let's see how many people are debating on this one. Is it a need, want, or waste? Okay, a lot of people have said want. Couple of people have said waste. Okay. So we know that it's definitely not a need. Maybe having cushions and pillows is a need, right? For your own back or neck or whatever, sleeping better. But a decorative one, maybe not so much, right? So the next time you're buying something that's really expensive, think it through. Repair kit. Yeah, everyone says it's a need. I'm so glad you all realize and accept that it's a need. If you don't have one, please create one or borrow one for that matter. Maybe have a community repair kit and that would be really helpful. Single use party decorations, all the frills that we put up, balloons that we put up, all of these things, need, want, or waste. Wow, I'm so glad all of you are really, really smart about this. It is waste, right? It is something that we will use once, but will end up being on the planet forever. Definitely waste, and we can do without it. By the way, there are now a lot of organizations that provide reusable decorative items for events and parties. Reach out to those, they will help you do it, and they will take everything back. If you still have to use materials, maybe use natural flowers or plants, that you can dispose of in the right way or compost in the right way and process in the right way later. Okay, and the last one, tea or a coffee in a disposable cup. I am so glad again to see everybody saying waste or it's poison, it's unhealthy, it should be avoided. Decomposable, not necessarily. Most cups that we use are actually not decomposable unless they're made up of bagasse. And even then, why can we not use reusable cups, which we can wash and keep using them again and again? Why do we even need the decomposable ones, right? That's also not really helpful. The paper cups, by the way, when you put them in hot boiling water, you will realize that actually there is a thin layer of plastic inside them. So they are not really great. And someone did mention that they're unhealthy for our bodies as well, right? So absolute waste, Shubhangi is right, total waste. We should let these things go. Carry your own reusable cups. If you're going to a cafe or a chai wala, and if they serve it in paper cups, please try carrying your own. Your need is chai, and we understand that. Your want is really good chai, maybe from a cafe, right? That's also understandable. But does that have to create waste? That's not necessary.